on Sugar Spun Run, we'll be making sourdough chocolate chip cookies. Hey Sugar Spun Bakers, Sam here, and today I am so excited to be sharing another carefully tested, well-researched, and perfected recipe. This might be my new favorite chocolate chip cookie recipe. That's a really bold claim because you guys know I have the worst recipe. That's always been my favorite. Today we're using another secret ingredient, which is sourdough discard. Just takes the flavor of these cookies to new heights, but it doesn't make them taste sour or like sourdough. They're just amazing, and you have to try them yourself to see what I'm talking about. The flavor in these cookies, it's just unparalleled. I mean, you are going to love the depth of flavor, you're going to love the ingredients that go into it, so let's go ahead and get started. Now today's recipe starts on the stovetop because we're going to be browning the butter that we use. One of the challenges that I faced when I decided I wanted to do a sourdough chocolate chip cookie recipe was that sourdough discard has a lot of water in it. There's a lot of liquid that you wouldn't typically put in a chocolate chip cookie. So I had to think of some ways to remove the liquid that was already in the cookie, and as I said, there's not typically that much. One of the ways was to brown the butter, because this way we're cooking out a lot of the water that's in the butter, and as a bonus we are left with even more incredible flavor because brown butter just elevates things to new heights. If you've ever made anything with brown butter before, you know what I'm talking about. Now I'm going to start with my stovetop heat on medium-low, and I'm just going to cook this for a minute until the butter is melted. Okay, the butter is just about melted, so I'm going to turn up my heat just a notch above medium. And you don't want to leave your butter unattended at this point. We're just going to cook it, swirling the pan. I'm using a spatula to scrape the sides and bottom of the pan constantly. And in a minute, you're going to notice it's going to start to like sputter and pop and fizz a little bit. All this is great. What it means is that the water is evaporating and cooking out, leaving us those milk solids behind, which are going to get toasted and browned, and that's what's going to add so much flavor to these cookies. One of the things that's going to add flavor anyway. We've got a lot contributing to flavor here. So the bubbling and the foaming is going to get pretty aggressive for a bit, and then it's going to slow down. When it slows down, pay really close attention because shortly after that, you're going to notice some browning happening. It can be hard to see because of all of these bubbles, but just kind of scoot them out of the way. I'm hoping I can show you on camera, but it's a little bit tough here. And once you see some golden brown bits forming on the bottom of the pan, let's see if I can show you here. That means those milk solids are browning. You're also going to smell it. It's going to have a nice toasty aroma. It smells great. So once that happens, I'm gonna let this go just a second longer, but you don't want to overdo it or you'll burn your butter, which is terrible. Once everything is looking nice and toasty, we are going to remove it from the stovetop, and we're going to immediately pour this into a heat-proof bowl. And here's where you should be able to see those brown bits. Oh yeah, see that in the pan? Don't leave those behind, we want those. So good for flavor. Nice golden brown butter bits. Okay, now this butter is going to need to cool completely before you can use it in your cookies. If you use it while you're warm, your cookie dough is going to get super greasy and your cookies will be super flat and messy. So have a little patience, let it cool completely. It should not even be a little bit warm to the touch before you go any further. And it doesn't have to have re-solidified, but if it has, that's fine and you can use it from that point. We're going to let this cool a bit. How long it takes really just depends on your kitchen environment. It can take 30 minutes, it can take an hour. Just don't rush the process. All right, now once your butter has cooled, and again, cooled completely, not warm at all, we can add this into a larger mixing bowl, or if you thought ahead, planned better than I did, you would have just poured your brown butter directly into a large mixing bowl. Save yourself a dish. All about saving dishes, I just forget sometimes. So now we can add our sugars, and today's recipe is a little bit brown sugar heavy because I like the added flavor from the molasses, so we'll be adding a cup of firmly packed light brown sugar. We're also going to be adding some granulated sugar, 2/3 cups of that. And let's just take a second right now to talk about the eggs. Again, with this recipe, I needed to cut down on the liquid or the water, so another way that made sense to do this was to eliminate the egg whites. We are going to just be using the egg yolks for today's recipe, and this is 2 egg yolks. They should be at room temperature ideally. Just drop out that white. The egg white has a lot of water in it. It's obviously very liquidy. I use this trick when I make my pumpkin cookies because pumpkin has a lot of moisture. To help counteract that, we just use egg yolks there. So there's, oops, don't need the shell. Unless you like things really crunchy. There's 1 egg yolk. And then you can, of course, save these egg whites for something like macarons or to go towards a recipe like my funfetti cake or white cake that uses a lot of egg whites. We are also going to add 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. We'll just stir everything together until it's nicely combined. Since our butter is melted and we don't need to cream the ingredients, there's no need to use an electric mixer, but if you wanted to, or if you wanted to use a stand mixer instead, you certainly could. It's just not mandatory. Okay, now our secret ingredient. You are going to need 2/3 cups of sourdough discard. Now, if you are using my sourdough starter recipe, this is about what you'll get every day, which is one thing I loved about this recipe and I was kind of intentional about when developing it. And I would love to hear from you. I have so many sourdough discard recipes that I've developed because I love to use them to use my sourdough discard, but I'm trying to get a pulse on how you guys watching feel about it. Do you want more sourdough discard? Are you not sourdough bakers yourself? Do you want less? Just let me know because I really do appreciate your feedback and I decide what videos I'm going to make based off of that and what you're watching. So let me know. Okay, wet ingredients nicely combined, set this aside. And you are going to grab a separate mixing bowl to which you are going to add 2 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. We will also add a teaspoon of baking powder, as well as a teaspoon of baking soda, and 3/4 teaspoon of table salt. We'll whisk everything together until that's nicely combined. And now bring back your butter mixture. And let's just go ahead and gradually add this to our wet ingredients. And do it in 2 or 3 parts. Just stir everything together. Try not to lose any flour. Don't add all of the flour at once because it can make it a little bit difficult to incorporate it all. And once that is well combined, you are going to add your chocolate chips. Except I'm not actually using chocolate chips. I'm going to be using chopped chocolate today. You know, I'm probably going to get some, you said chocolate chip cookies and it's chopped chocolate. It's the same idea, use whichever you prefer. If you're using chips, you'll use 1.5 cups. I chopped up 6 ounces of a 60% baking bar, which is a little bit darker than semi-sweet. It's a little bit more bitter. That's why I prefer it. You could use semi-sweet instead. Let's go ahead and mix this in until those chips are well distributed. And it can be kind of a stiff dough, that's normal. Now, one bright side of it being a more stiff dough is technically you can bake the cookies right away if you'd like. They are going to spread a little bit, but they'll work. You could cook them right away. I've done it a couple times when I just wasn't super patient. However, my recommendation to you is that you cover this dough and you chill it for at least an hour before you bake the cookies. It's going to help the flavor develop a little bit. Or even better, you can chill the cookie dough and let it sit overnight in the refrigerator, which makes it taste even better. That's my preference. So I'm going to cover this. Got my plastic wrap here. And I am going to drop this in the fridge and swap it out with my bowl of cookie dough that I did prep yesterday. Now, when you're about ready to bake your dough, you're going to want to get your oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so I grabbed my cookie dough, but I also decided before this one goes into chill, the one that we just made, I am going to scoop one cookie this way, just so you can see what they look like baked right away versus baked after chilling. And you could just drop this cookie dough, but I recommend, since it's a drier dough, it's best if you just roll it between your palms to form it into a nice little ball before baking it. So we'll just do 2 with this dough. And I'm scooping the dough into about 1.5 tablespoon-sized balls. Okay, we'll push that one out of the way. I'll chill it in just a moment. And now let's start scooping our dough that we did chill overnight. And if yours is firm and difficult to scoop, let it sit at room temperature until it's easy for you to scoop. And I know you'll say, okay, well, it's not chilled anymore at that point. It should still have a chill to it, but again, the chilling is a lot more about making sure the dough develops its flavor. It does help with spreading, but really the main thing is the flavor development. Now we can go ahead and pop these into the center rack of our 350 degree Fahrenheit preheated oven, where they're going to need to bake for about 10 to 12 minutes. I like to look for the edges to be just beginning to turn a light golden brown. Okay, so these are finished baking. I'm going to do my little trick where I like to take a pair of spoons and just round the cookies. Totally unnecessary, but it makes them look a little bit prettier. And you know, when you take pictures of cookies for a living, sometimes you want them to look really nice. Now, as you can see, the cookies up top that we scooped first from the unchilled dough, they're flat, but they are perfectly edible. They're still gonna taste good, but these are superior, so I just wanted to make my case for chilling, but also that if you're super impatient, it'll be okay. Last thing for these cookies, please do not skip it. Get yourself some flaky sea salt and just do nice little sprinkling, generous sprinkling, however you wanna do it, over each cookie. Now let these cool completely on the baking sheet because they're gonna be a little bit fragile while they're warm, and the centers are a little bit underdone when they come out of the oven, so they need to finish cooking on the baking sheet. So let them cool completely before you remove and enjoy them. And that is how you make sourdough chocolate chip cookies. These have cooled enough. I cannot wait to dig into them. If you tried this recipe, please let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. I always love hearing from you. Again, please let me know if you want to see more sourdough recipes or not. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. And Luke's missing out today. They're so good. Oh, you're gonna love this.